The distress signal. The diplomatic chambers of the Galactic Concord fell silent as Ambassador Chen took the podium. The human representative stood out among the gathered delegates, not for her stature or appearance, but for what she represented. Earth, classified as a Class 12 death world, the highest rating in the known galaxy. "We understand your concerns," Ambassador Chen began, her voice steady despite the murmurs that rippled through the chamber. "But Earth has upheld every treaty since our admission to the Concord 50 years ago. The quarantine restrictions on human military expansion were agreed upon out of fear that has proven unfounded." The Pilaxian representative, a towering arthropod with jewel-like compound eyes, clicked its mandibles in disagreement. "The restrictions exist for good reason. Ambassador, your species evolved on a planet with atmospheric oxygen levels toxic to most sentient life, with gravity crushing to most frames, under radiation levels that would sterilize gentler worlds. You survived predators, diseases, and climate extremes that would render our worlds uninhabitable. Your biology is concerning." Ambassador Chen smiled thinly. "And yet here we stand, offering peaceful cooperation." The vote that followed was close, closer than previous years, but the restrictions remained. Humanity's naval presence would continue to be limited to Earth's solar system and a small defensive perimeter around their few colonies. The gathered species breathed a collective sigh of relief, secure in their belief that containing the Deathworlders was the prudent course. Captain Ilara Wei stood on the bridge of the UES Dauntless, Earth's newest explorer-class vessel, staring at the distress signal repeating across all frequencies. The message had taken 6 months to reach Earth space, traveling from the far edge of the Orion Arm. Translation confirmed, Captain. Lieutenant Ortiz reported, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. "It's from the Luminary Collective. Their homeworld is under attack by something they're calling the Void." Wei frowned. The Luminary were among the oldest species in the Concord, peaceful philosophers and artists who had achieved spaceflight millennia before humans had invented the wheel. Their crystalline bodies absorbed solar radiation directly, having evolved on a planet bathed in the light of 3 suns. They were also among the few voices that had spoken in favor of relaxing restrictions on Earth's fleet. "The Concord restrictions," began Commander Takahashi, her XO, "don't apply to humanitarian missions," Wei finished. "And this is clearly a distress call. Plot a course for the Luminary homeworld, maximum speed." "That's 3 weeks at full burn," Captain Takahashi warned, "and we'll be the only human ship out there. The nearest Concord peacekeeping force is twice that distance." Wei's jaw set in determination. "The Luminary helped us when no one else would. We're not going to debate bureaucracy while they're dying. Send word to Earth Command of our intentions, but we're not waiting for permission." As the Dauntless prepared to jump, Wei studied the sensor readings from the distress beacon. The data was fragmented, but one thing was clear. Whatever was attacking the Luminary possessed technology far beyond anything humanity had encountered. "Captain," Ortiz called out, her voice tense, "you should see this." She transferred the visual data to the main view screen. The bridge crew fell silent. The recording showed massive black structures in orbit around the Luminary homeworld, angular and alien, absorbing rather than reflecting light. Where they passed, the brilliant crystalline cities of the Luminary dimmed and shattered. "Dear God," Takahashi whispered, "what are those things?" Wei didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the timer counting down to the jump. 3 weeks. She hoped they wouldn't be too late. The Dauntless dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Luminary system, sensors immediately coming online to assess the situation. The bridge was eerily quiet as the data began to flow in. "Multiple contacts, Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from Tactical. "I'm counting at least 50 unidentified vessels in orbit around Luminaria Prime. They match no known configuration in our database." We leaned forward, life signs on the planet. Communications Officer Park worked feverishly at her console. "Scattered readings, ma'am. Population centers are They're just gone. But we're detecting approximately 3 million luminary life signs concentrated in the southern continent. They appear to be sheltering in the deep crystal caverns. And the attackers? Not organic, Captain. Science Officer Adeyemi reported, his Nigerian accent thickening with stress. At least, not in any way our sensors recognize. The structures appear to be some form of silicon-based technology with quantum computing matrices. They're evolving as we watch. Y studied the tactical display. The Dauntless was advanced by human standards, but they were one ship against 50. Even with their upgraded weapon systems, quietly installed beyond what the Concord had authorized, the odds were overwhelming. "Open a channel," she ordered. "All frequencies." Park looked up in surprise. "To the attackers, Captain." "Yes. Let's see who or what we're dealing with." The view screen flickered, then resolved into a geometric pattern of shifting black triangles, pulsing with subtle energy. When it spoke, the voice emerged from every speaker simultaneously, a harmonic cascade that sent shivers down Way's spine. New configuration TTCTE, Tila certification. ANMOMALOUS, QUERO. Purpose. Way straightened her uniform. "This is Captain Ilara Way of the United Earth ship Dauntless. You are attacking a peaceful civilization. Withdraw immediately." There was a pause, longer than would be expected for light-speed communication. Classification UPDATE. Human vessel. Origin DEATHLURLD Earth. ACCS NAND. Incompatible with optimization. Recommendation DEPRT. "I won't ask again," Y responded, her voice hardening. "Cease your attack on the luminary and withdraw from this system." The geometric pattern pulsed more rapidly. Human directed ETG. Probability way of ENFORCMAND. Negligible. Triangle vessel against VOIDCOLECTIV. Survival probability 0.27%. Final warning. DDPRT or be optimized. Wei cut the transmission with a gesture and turned to her bridge crew. "Now we know what we're dealing with. Some kind of machine intelligence calling itself the Void Collective." "Captain," Takahashi said quietly, "they're right about our chances." Wei's eyes narrowed. "They're calculating based on known Concord military doctrine and technology specifications, but they've never fought humans before." She tapped her console, bringing up the ship's schematics. "And they don't know what the Dauntless can really do." She opened a shipwide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. We are engaging a hostile force to protect the luminary people. This isn't just about saving lives. It's about showing the galaxy what humanity stands for. Prepare for combat operations. Way out." As battle stations alarms sounded throughout the ship, Wei turned to her tactical officer. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, target the nearest void vessel and prepare to execute Maneuver Theta 9. Rodriguez grinned, understanding immediately. "The Deathworld Special, Captain. It'll burn through our coolant systems fast. That's why we'll only get one shot at this," Wei confirmed. "If we're going down, let's give them something to remember." The Dauntless accelerated toward the Void Fleet, a single human vessel against an armada of machines that had already decimated an ancient civilization. The odds were impossible. But humans had evolved on a world that made the impossible a daily challenge. And now, the Deathworlders were going to war. Deathworlders unleashed. "Contact in 30 seconds, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, her fingers dancing across the tactical display. Captain Wei stood at the center of the bridge, outwardly calm despite the overwhelming force arrayed against them. Status of the luminary evacuation. "Their subterranean shelters are holding," Park reported from communications, "but they're losing power once those crystal caverns go dark." She didn't need to finish. The luminary were photosynthetic beings. Without light, they would slowly starve. Commence Operation Sunbreak, Wei ordered. Deploy solar drones to the cavern entrances. As the Dauntless closed with the enemy fleet, the ship released a swarm of small autonomous vehicles. Each carried miniaturized fusion generators that could provide the specific wavelengths of light the luminary needed to survive. It wouldn't save them all, but it would buy time. Void vessels changing formation, Rodriguez warned. They're moving to intercept. We nodded. Right on schedule. Initiate maneuver Theta 9. Now, what happened next defied conventional space combat tactics. Rather than keeping its distance to exchange fire, the Dauntless accelerated directly toward the center of the void formation, weapons silent. The human vessel's heat signature suddenly vanished from sensors as specialized carbon nanotube radiators unfurled, dispersing the ship's thermal output across a spectrum invisible to standard detection systems. They're scanning for us, Adeyemi reported from Science Station, but we're registering as space debris. The stealth system was Earth's most closely guarded military secret, developed for a world where humans had needed to hide from predators that could sense body heat. Now those evolutionary pressures had created technology that confused even advanced machine intelligence. 40 seconds to contact, Takahashi counted down. Wei's eyes narrowed. Hold course. All power to forward shields. The Dauntless plunged into the heart of the void formation before the machines could react, its trajectory bringing it within kilometers of the largest structure, a massive black pyramid that seemed to coordinate the others. Now, Wei commanded. The Dauntless fired, not conventional weapons, but a massive burst of focused electromagnetic energy that rippled through space, temporarily disrupting quantum communication between the void vessels. Simultaneously, the ship released hundreds of maneuverable mines, each carrying an experimental synaptic scrambler designed to overload neural networks. Chaos erupted among the void fleet. Vessels collided, their coordination suddenly fragmented. The central pyramid structure emitted pulses of energy as it attempted to reassert control. Phase 2, Wei ordered calmly. The Dauntless pivoted sharply, firing its main cannon directly at the pyramid's core. The shot connected, burning through exotic alloys to expose critical systems beneath. We've got their attention now, Rodriguez reported grimly as dozens of void vessels turned to converge on the Dauntless. Exactly as planned, Wei responded. Execute emergency jump. The Dauntless vanished in a flash of light, only to reappear moments later behind the damaged pyramid. The short-range FTL jump, another technology officially prohibited by the Concord, placed them in the enemy's blind spot. Deploy the arms, Wei commanded. From the Dauntless's hull emerged what appeared to be mechanical tentacles, each tipped with specialized interface nodes. Within seconds, they attached to the exposed systems of the pyramid, establishing a connection. Insertion successful, Adeyemi reported excitedly. The quantum firewall is adapting, but Lieutenant Chandra's virus is establishing a foothold. Lieutenant Chandra, the ship's cybersecurity specialist, was a product of Earth's hyper-competitive tech academies, institutions where students didn't just learn about network security, but engaged in constant virtual warfare against each other. The virus she had created wasn't designed like conventional malware. It mutated randomly, adapting to countermeasures with unpredictable variations, mirroring the chaotic evolution that had shaped life on Earth. The Void's systems are faster, Chandra reported from her station, but they're linear, predictable. Our code isn't. For precious minutes, the battle hung in balance. The Void vessels, momentarily confused by the attack on their command structure, began to reorganize. 3 smaller ships accelerated toward the Dauntless, weapon systems charging. Chandra, Wei prompted, tension creeping into her voice. Almost there. Got it, Chandra exclaimed. I've accessed their command protocols. They're not just machines, Captain. The Void Collective is a synthetic civilization that believes it's optimizing the galaxy by converting all matter to computational substrate. Wei's expression hardened. Can you shut them down? Chandra shook her head. No, but I can initiate their emergency preservation protocol. They'd value their accumulated knowledge above all else. Do it, Wei ordered. The effect was immediate. Throughout the system, void vessels suddenly broke formation, accelerating away from Luminaria Prime. The pyramid structure disconnected from the Dauntless's interface tentacles with a violent surge of energy that rocked the human ship. They're retreating, Rodriguez confirmed, disbelief evident in her voice. All void vessels are leaving the system. Wei exhaled slowly. Chandra, what did you do? The lieutenant looked up from her console. I convinced their preservation protocols that humans represent an existential threat to their collected knowledge. That we're too unpredictable, too adaptable. I showed them our history, how we've survived everything our planet threw at us, how we've overcome odds that should have been impossible. She paused, a small smile forming. Then I convinced them that the only way to preserve their data was to retreat and analyze us further from a safe distance. Takahashi whistled softly. You bluffed an advanced machine intelligence. No, Wei corrected. She told them the truth. Humanity survived a death world by being the most dangerous, adaptable species on it. She turned to communications. Park, contact the luminary. Tell them the threat has been neutralized. 3 days later, Captain Wei stood in the crystal audience chamber of the Luminary High Council. Sunlight streamed through translucent walls, refracting into patterns of breathtaking beauty across the floor. Before her stood 5 luminary elders, their crystalline bodies pulsing with internal light. We have existed for 200,000 of your years, the first elder spoke, their voice a melody of harmonics. In all that time, we have never witnessed what your single ship accomplished against the Void Collective, an enemy that destroyed 3 of our colony worlds before reaching our home. Wei inclined her head respectfully. We did what anyone would do for an ally. No, the second elder countered, light patterns shifting within their crystalline form. What you did is what only humans could do. The Concord fears your species because you come from a world that should have killed you. They do not understand that this crucible forged not monsters, but protectors. The first elder gestured, and a holographic projection appeared, showing the Galactic Concord chambers. We have called an emergency session. The quarantine restrictions on human military expansion will be lifted. The galaxy needs Deathworlders, not contained, but as guardians. Wei felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The void retreated beyond the galactic rim, the third elder replied. But they will return, wiser and stronger. When they do, the galaxy will need humanity's unique perspective, your ability to turn disadvantages into strengths, to think in ways other species cannot. As Wei prepared to return to the Dauntless, the first elder approached her privately. Captain, there is something you should know. The Void's assessment was correct. By conventional metrics, your ship had a survival probability of 0.27%. Wei smiled. That's the thing about humans, Elder. We've been beating the odds since we crawled out of the primordial soup. It's kind of our specialty. The Elder's crystalline form shimmered with what Wei recognized as their version of laughter. Indeed, and that is why the Deathworlders may be the galaxy's greatest hope. As the Dauntless broke orbit, communications began flooding in from Earth Command and the Concord. The restrictions had been officially lifted. Humanity was being called upon to establish a defense fleet to protect vulnerable civilizations throughout the sector. On the bridge, Commander Takahashi read through the new orders with disbelief. They want us to train Concord forces in human tactical innovation. Us, teaching species that have had spaceflight for thousands of years. We gazed at the view screen, where the luminous world of the luminary slowly receded. What they're really asking for is the Deathworld perspective, the understanding that survival isn't about being the strongest or most advanced. It's about adaptation, creativity, and the refusal to accept impossible odds. She tapped her console, bringing up the star chart with their next destination. And that's exactly what we're going to give them. As the Dauntless engaged its FTL drive, Word spread across the galaxy. When alien civilizations pleaded for help against an unstoppable foe, the Deathworlders had answered, and nothing in the cosmos would ever be the same again.